I would have totally voted for Alia Bhatt. I mean, she's played by Vijay Das. Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage. I have reviewed almost 400 indie movies on the channel, and today I want to talk about the Hindi language biographical drama Gangubai Kathiawadi. It had its premiere at this year's Berlin International Film Festival, was then released in theaters a week later, and since a few days ago you can now watch it on Netflix, which is what I did. It was directed and co-written by Sanjay Leela Bhansali, who also composed the music for it. The story is loosely based on the real-life Gangubai Kathiawadi, who was sold into prostitution at a young age and later became a social leader and activist. Her life was documented in the book Mafia Queens of Mumbai, and the film is very much like a tribute to her difficult life and how she was still able to become a protector to so many women. Of course, it's also a fictionalized version, and I don't know how much of it actually happened like this, or at least in a similar manner. The woman who is front and center here is of course Alia Bhatt, who gives a pretty strong performance, even though I wish the movie would have spent a little bit more time with the initial transformation, because after Ganga becomes a prostitute against her will, takes on the name of Gangu, which later turns to Gangubai, it's almost like the transformation from this innocent, naive young girl who wanted to become a Bollywood actress to this fierce and ruthless woman who fights for her life and the lives of the women around her. It's almost as if that transformation happens overnight. She's immediately set to turn things around, and I think that's great as a motivation, but I think she takes on this badass persona a bit too fast and too easy. Overall, I think Gangubai Kathiawadi is a good but not a great film. There's a lot to love, but there are also some things that hold it back. Movies or stories that depict some important fight against an injustice usually have a pretty easy stand with me, and this one does its fair share of committing to its message about empowerment, self-determination and the stigma that's attached to prostitution. It's quite addictive to have Alia Bhatt play such a strong character and watching how she doesn't take shit from anyone. Though I was honestly expecting a little bit more about the nuts and bolts about how she was handling her business. With the title of the book being Mafia Queens of Mumbai and the movie being described as a crime drama as well, there's really not much of that in here, which is okay, but it was a bit surprising. The only real connection to the underworld is through Ajay Devgn's character, and I thought they have a nice banter going. And something that really stood out for me, even though I completely rely on the subtitles, was the dialogue. There are some wonderful and witty back and forth, with the strong punchline so to speak, of course going to our heroine Gangubai. Another thing that I certainly liked was the period setting. They really did a nice job in depicting this specific time and place, bringing that brothel and its neighborhood to life. Be it just through the many different old movie posters that you can see throughout the film. Which is also tied in thematically because Ganga wanted to become an actress and now became famous in her own right. The Dev Anand references were also fun and again were woven in quite well through the dialogue. But a thing that honestly always bothers me, and this is very much a personal thing, but I'm just not a fan of this desaturated look that's so overused when you want to show that your story is taking place in the past. I think the movie would have popped much more visually if the colors were stronger. I really don't need it to be this washed out to remind me that it's set in the past. Fortunately, from a filmmaking perspective, there are quite a few very nice scenes and sequences in there. For example, many very long continuous shots that really give you a chance to take in all the great dancing, for example. Or when Ganga is making a very important phone call and there's also no cut at all. There's also this beautiful long shot that's happening in the back of a car, with Gangubai and her love interest Afsan, played by the relative newcomer Shantanu Maheshwari. It's such a playful and fresh scene and maybe my favorite in the whole film. In general, I really enjoyed how the love story was told, in this kind of gender role reversal, with her being the one in charge. But I think what diminished my enjoyment of the film the most was its very episodic nature. Gangubai Kathiawadi has so many great scenes and really wonderful and fun performances, but it comes across as a very basic biopic that tells each segment of this person's life on its own, with just barely enough connective tissue. You can really feel this when you look at the supporting cast. In the beginning, Seema Bhargava is once again fantastic as this ruthless headress of the brothel. After that, we get another fantastic performance in that of Vijay Das, another rival in Gangubai's life. Mixed in is the romance plot I already talked about. But both these storylines just end. I mean, they do come to a conclusion, but the movie still continues and these actors are just out of it. And it doesn't even feel as if the result of that Vijay Ras storyline really changed anything drastically in the lives of these women. I mean, I guess it did, but like the underworld stuff, that's almost completely happening in the background or off screen. And then the next conflict awaits, which is about a school that wants to close the brothel. And because now we need them, there are a lot of young girls there all of a sudden, who weren't really shown before. Like I said, all these things are good because we get great scenes, but as an overarching narrative, I was missing a bit more groundwork of establishing these threads earlier or bringing all of them together in a more powerful way. We also have this friendship between Gangubai and Kamli, played by Indira Tiwari, but I thought this was also a bit underdeveloped. I mean, it had an effect on me, but not a big one. Of course, in the end, it's mostly Alia Bhatt's movie and she keeps our interest enough to follow her through these different stages in Gangubai's life. But it wasn't the emotional gut punch I was looking forward to. So in German I'd say, Gangubai Kathiawadi unterhält durch eine tolle Alia Bhatt und viele wirklich starke und auch bisweilen äußerst amüsante Momente. Als potenziell starkes und inspirierendes Biopic bleibt er durch seine arg episodenhafte Struktur aber doch hinter seinen Möglichkeiten. I give Gangubai Kathiawadi 7 out of 10. It's more like 6.6, but I don't do that. Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about Gangubai Kathiawadi. And also, what is your favorite film with Alia Bhatt? You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at the Jimmy Cage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.